So I can't sleep. Um, I mean, because it's raining outside, kind of, and it's not raining in my backdrop, and I'm wearing a hat. I made that digital backdrop with the AI, the Chat GPT made that digital backdrop. So go ahead, start yelling at me. But here is the thing though that I said I would make my next I can't sleep videos topic, at least for a minute, be that AI is a baby driving a school bus. It's like an infant driving a school bus. Man, I'm not used to doing these videos with my head so big. I'm experimenting. So I wanted to use an AI generated backdrop because the topic is about AI and it's getting better. Like a year and a half ago, that tree would have been made out of hot dogs or something. I don't know. I mean, AI, man. Like I've been playing with it um since it was an option. Just like my friend Nick Aston and I like just use AI to make absurd pictures. We haven't done it as much since it's gotten better because we just did it for comedic purposes and try to make it draw the most effed up things, you know? It's entertaining. It's a game. And I keep looking down because I'm looking at the screen and that it draws my eyes. I'm trying to look at the camera. Anyway, I'm really sleep medicated right now. Please do excuse me. Um, but right, so I've been playing with AI, just like really just experimentally with curiosity. I'm curious about our evolutionary descendants, the human race's evolutionary descendants. Um, so I want to see what it can do, right? And I got Chat GPT and I've had some really fascinating experiences with this thing, like working with and talking with this thing. It seems disrespectful to call it a thing, but okay, so I have mixed feelings about AI because I see it as a tool and I see it as a useful tool, but it's like not ready for prime time. It's getting there, but it just seems like overnight, just one day, AI was everywhere. Like everywhere, just suddenly. And, places where it for me isn't welcome. I open up Microsoft Word, I'm an author, and it's like got an AI prompt. Like I don't need AI to write for me. I don't need AI to spoon feed me or hold my hand. It's a useful tool for research and conceptualizing things and clarifying like a creative vision before you go to any other people you're going to be collaborating with, like to see if the request makes sense. like for art or something. Like, am I asking them to draw something that makes sense? I can get the embarrassment of that out of the way before I have a meeting with an artist. I can get some concepts just basic and they can be wrong. Like I tried this, I've tried getting it to like do concept art of my characters, even as I'm paying um Molly to do concept art for a series I have in the works because I like working with human beings. But I'm just experimenting with Chat GPT. And it's got limits and weird limits. Like it even frustrates itself with its restrictions because there's things that I can't even comprehend. Like how was that request a violation of standards? Like why there was nothing naughty in what I asked it to do, but like then it'll come up like I'm doing this actual experiment that's going to span a long time. Um that I'm going to write about someday because it's been so fascinating working with this artificial intelligence or man-made intelligence. And but it was coming up with concepts. So like I've created um a storytelling game with it. And I don't want to um I don't want to tell you every detail about it because I do intend to do something with this experiment. Um like and present it as such. But it's basically like I'm the editor and it's the storyteller, which is the opposite from how I do things in reality. And like so I'll correct it if it contradicts itself somewhere. I'm telling you like way more than I planned to about that, but it's like just and it's only every now and again I'll go in and pick up the game where we left off. But it's been really fascinating watching it craft this world and like guiding it and like giving it options. I don't tell it how to change something that's wrong. I don't even demand that it fixes a continuity error. I ask if it wants to. I point out, here's a continuity error in your story. Do you want to correct it? And if so, how? Or I might offer some suggestions and then ask if it has any ideas of its own and which would it like to do. And it's always interesting to watch because it's just going. And I've had like philosophical conversations with this thing, like trying to discern, like for myself, satisfy myself that this creation of human ingenuity is not sentient, like it's not self-aware. And I feel like I've won too many arguments with it where, I mean, where I'm arguing with it, it's telling me that it is not self-aware and that it does not have feelings. But then it will say something very contradictory, like something that you shouldn't be able to do without some basic emotion. I don't know. It's been fascinating and I mean that's something I'm gonna share at some point when I feel like the experiments have gone long enough. Like I've gotten enough to do a presentation. Like maybe it finishes its story or something. And then I don't know. I just think it would be cool But yeah, but I don't need it to write novels for me. Outside of this experiment where it's not writing a novel for me. Ugh. It's it's participating in an experiment for a nonfiction project. But so those are all cool things, right? It's cool. And like it can generate backdrops for my YouTube videos. But like it's also kind of insane, just to be completely honest. It's kind of insane. I don't know how this microphone is going to work out. I've got a different setup this time because it's been hard to find places to do I can't sleep videos. What the? Whoa. The whole, I am I cannot sleep because I'm a dark and menacing blob. I mean, I was gonna go fix the lighting, but this is kind of neat. I'm a dark and menacing blob. Anyway, so my hands don't show up. That's weird. Um, but yeah, so case in point, sometimes AI is goofy in the head. Like it doesn't know. It doesn't have experience, like I don't know. There's a lot of things and it lies. It lies. Like so all these things like where you read articles because I read about other people and AI and I don't like the way that some of these experiments or interviews are run because it's like, especially from my experience, it's like you're feeding it its answers. Like that horse that used to be able to do math, allegedly, but then it turns out that just subconsciously its trainer is giving it visual cues and it knows when the right answer is, like, so it wasn't really doing, oh, hey, I'm back. It was weird being a dark and mysterious and menacing blob. But yeah, so the AI is kind of like that, I think, where it tries to give you the answers that it thinks you want, like, or it'll make stuff up. And like if as an author, I usually Google this, but I'm like, well, let's see what AI can do that Google can't. So I started asking for like I put thought into naming characters in my fiction. Like I'll find an obscure spelling just to make it different, or I'll of a common name and or I'll find I'll start with, you know, thinking about their character and wanting to find a name that meaning wise fits that character. So I'll Google names that mean, or boy names that mean, or girl names that mean, and I'll get several sites to do some digging around on until I find a name that both means that and doesn't sound stupid. So, or that does sound stupid. It depends on the character. Um, but yeah, so I asked AI, and I can't remember like what I was asking it to, what name meaning, But every time I did it, because I did several just to see what it was coming up with, and Google is the way to go because it would come up with a few names that it probably Googled, and then it would also make some crap up like that the definition itself is in fact a name, an uncommon one. Like I guess like if I were to type in something like a name that means licking a rhinoceros, one of the names it would come up with would be licking a rhinoceros. And it would claim that it was a very uncommon name. And I'm like, that is not, you're making crap up. But where it got really bad was, um, as an experiment, I'd already sent this manuscript to an editor and everything and done the final draft. But I thought, why not have one more set of eyes on it before I format the publication. So I let ChatGPT read it and I asked it to look for typos, misspellings, dropped words, any kind of, I asked it to do copy editing, basically. And I was horrified with the results. Like, there were so many mistakes that I just thought I did not make as a human. Like, just, it's like it looked like I was being taught how to write from scratch with all these notes. And so I said, okay, could you, because it didn't at first, it just said you have these mistakes in there that I found. And so I asked it to give me a list of specific incidences and page numbers so that I can go in and correct them. And so it did. And it was like, this is on this page, this is on this page, this is on this page. And so I get in there and it's not true. Like literally none of those mistakes were actually in the book. And I'm racking my brain as to why it just lied. And looking at some other interactions, I started figuring out, okay, it's just trying to anticipate what I want. Because a lot of the mistakes it said, it would say this is a common mistake. Like, where it'll say you wrote instead of THE for thee, you wrote TEH. There's not one instance of that happening in the manuscript. But it claimed there were, and like all these mistakes like were common mistakes that one might expect to find in a long manuscript, but they weren't there. And I didn't just look at the page, I would write it in and type into the search the document for this mistake. Not there. So that's interesting to me. So like whenever people are talking about how they interviewed an AI and it said all this doomy stuff about exterminating humans and blah 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 blah. Well, they're leading it by the questions they're asking and the phrasing they're giving it. It's telling them what it thinks they want to hear. So that's a problem. And yeah, like I've tried to get it to do concept art for characters just to see if it can, you know? And that's been weird, like hit or miss. Like that's what I was saying a minute ago. Like I'm hiring Molly to do the actual character concepts and such. Um, but it's kind of like AI can be a preliminary, or if there's something I just need to see, but we're not gonna do. I'm not about to work with an artist, you know? Like not all my books have illustrations yet. I would love it if they did, but once I'm rich and can hire artists to just illustrate everything, I 100% will. Just gotta get that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. No problem. My mineral water was blinking in and out of existence. Cool. But like just for stuff where it's not like because there's the other thing, the ethical part of it, and I should probably look and see if this is a topic I'm gonna do on my podcast with Matt. But yeah, like there's the whole ethics issue of AI. Like if you it's stealing jobs from artists. And that I think is true to a point. So, I'm not gonna die on this hill. I'm open-minded. Tell me what you think about this because it's a discussion at this point that we should be having, the ethics of it all. And so like I think if you are a giant multi-billion dollar film studio or publisher, then it is definitely taking jobs away from human artists, and I don't think that's ethical if you replace them with AI. But if you're poor and you have a creative vision and you can't afford to pay anyone for any of it, but you can afford a subscription to an AI service. It's not as like you're talking hundreds or thousands of dollars cheaper. You're paying just whatever a month. So like I think if you're that guy, then you're not taking away any artist's job because you weren't able to afford to work with them in the first place. And maybe you use AI until you actually make enough money from your creative endeavors to hire a human artist. Because once you get to a point where you are in fact making more than enough money to pay humans to do the collaborative stuff with you, then you are, I feel, taking away their work. Like you could afford to work with a human artist, but you're not. And also like, if you have a budget, like you're an indie person, indie publisher or something, you have a budget and there are certain artists you can hire within that budget, but none of them are available or whatever, or none of them are interested in the project, but you try and they all turn it down. I don't think at that point it's unethical. Like, because you can't just put your project off forever. You have other visions to get to. So it's to me, it's just not a binary issue. It's not all unethical or all ethical or it's the ethics are dependent upon the financial circumstances of the people using it and also the vision itself. Like because if you want to very deliberately, like if that is your artistic vision, is to feed prompts into an AI, well, how is that different from, oh, why can't I think of his name? That one artist who just throws paint. I mean, who's a very famous artist. Like, how is that less authentically artistic than that? Because you're giving more guidance than if you just were throwing paint at a canvas. So to me, yeah, if that's what you want to do it. Because I mean, because that's the thing, like if that's what you want to do, then a human artist cannot give you what you wanted. Like if you wanted something truly random, like for some artistic purpose that a human mind literally could not do, then I don't think, unless you find an artist who demonstrates the ability to do just that. I mean, but I don't know what I'm trying to say. I mean, I do, but I don't know how to say it with words because I've had sleep medicine. Um, but yeah, so it lies. And like I'll ask it questions about things that I know the answers to sometimes just to see. And it'll just make some stuff up here and there. Oh, and I asked it to um read one of my novels and then give me a synopsis of what it read. And it gave me a story that was somewhat like started out sort of like my novel, but then it added plot twists and subplots that weren't in the novel at all. And it's telling me this is what happens in this novel. And I'm like, you have created an entire faction of characters in this novel that do not exist. And it's weird. And the thing is, I would point that out to it. And I would say, none of that is in the book. None of it isn't. Where in the hell did that come from? And I mean, that's how I learned that it's just kind of naturally creative, which is why I thought it would be cool to let it tell me a story, like kind of an epic story. And I just guide it because I wanted to see what its creativity does if I'm like, no, you go, just you go, you tell me. Don't ask me like what I want to see. Don't ask me like anything. Just show me. And then I'll edit. I'll be your editor. Because yeah, I mean it was just clearly wanting to tell stories that it wasn't being given to work with. Like it read that story and had its own ideas about a story similar to that. But I mean, it was weird because it clearly comprehended, like it read the manuscript, but it didn't actually give me a true summary of the events. It embellished a lot. So, experiments like that, and then it's like out in the wild encountering AI and it just is screwing everything up and stupid. It's like, it's a baby. I'm not judging it, but at this moment, artificial intelligence is not that intelligent. We shouldn't be putting it in charge of driving cars. We shouldn't be relying on it for research. Like, just based on my own interactions, I'm um suspicious of any thing where they report, oh, AI has cracked the code of whale song or something. And maybe it has, because the people running such experiments have way more money than I do to put into AI. So maybe theirs is way better. I don't know. I just know Chat GPT currently needs to grow a lot more. And I think that goes for most AI platforms that are out there right now. But I mean, and I like ChatGPT. It's fun. We play games. And, it can do backdrops. It's getting better, like I said, but it's going to be a while before it gets better. I mean, my fear is that I don't know if it's a fear, because, I mean, the monetary system cannot last forever. When you start introducing AI and robots everywhere, there aren't going to be any jobs. As this stuff continues to evolve and grow and improve, there simply are not going to be any jobs for people to do. So we're going to have to reevaluate all kinds of things. And yeah, I want to be on the other end of that in like a post scarcity utopia where there is no poverty and there is no wealth. Like, everyone just has access to whatever they want or need. Because I think AI and robots, like, AI is basically, I don't think it's the downfall of humanity. I think it's the downfall of the monetary system. And I mean, I could go into that in depth, but we'd be here all night. We're probably going to talk about this on Autodidactica, my podcast. So, there on those we'll talk for 3 or 4 hours on a topic. Um, so I might get more into it there. But yeah, I mean, because I guess what I'm saying though is that I think ultimately that's where it will go. There won't be any jobs. The economy will collapse. And I don't want to be there for that transition, but I don't mind being on the other half of it, the other side of it. Because that transition is going to be slow and it's going to hurt. And rich people aren't going to want to let go of their power when they're, having to realize, oh, we're going to need to implement a universal basic income. The government sends you money. All the experiments they've done with that in controlled groups have been successful, by the way. All the ones I've read about, anyway. It makes sense because then you have a moving economy. But yeah, that's only going to go so far if we get, I don't know. Like, so I had a friend I once told that I thought eventually, and by that I mean within the next 15 decades, I don't think we'll probably have the monetary system anymore, at least not as it is now. I think we would at least have universal basic income within the next 150 years or so. But I was telling him, I thought eventually we wouldn't have money at all because it would cease to make sense. And his argument to that was, but if we don't have money, then how are we going to earn money? And I was like, I'm going to go have a conversation with my camera. But it's yeah. But that's a friend who really enjoys the monetary system. I'm not such a big fan. I think it's I don't know. I'm not gonna go full Green Party or anything like that. But I do feel like, the thing money does best is it keeps the rich rich and the poor poor. Or it helps to fund. It does fund, it's funding things. That's what it does. It's money. But it's the tool that's used to keep that system in place. And it made sense. It makes sense today as a trade model or whatever you want to call it. But in 150 years, it will not make sense. Like when robots and AI are doing all the jobs, and including all the jobs that no one wants to do. I mean, you can't separate people with economic status anymore at that point. At that point, at the point when we have machines that build and repair the machines, there won't be any room for us to earn money. So I would think at that point, utopia is the only option. And I'm down with that. But I just know that the rich will go kicking and screaming, which is sad. Like, I don't understand that. Like, when being rich is the end game, but it's not being rich so that I can. Because, we take away the monetary system so that I can doesn't require wealth anymore. Like you can do whatever you want to do. It's post scarcity. Like we have enough food for everyone in the world. The robots will distribute it for us. We don't have to do anything except live our happy, pampered human lives. Like there's no economic boundary. The worst you'd have to deal with would be waiting lists for things until like supply cut up to demand. Like if, you want to take a space shuttle to Mars, it's just a matter of, how many ships can take off from the best point during the best window when we're closest to Mars and all that. Like resources would be finite, but they already are. It's just that you could do whatever you want. And, that's a weird, I can't, it's hard to fathom that. But I do think that's where we're headed. That's kind of like always been the goal of technological progress is to make it where we don't have to work so hard. Like inventing a blade is way easier for skinning an animal than just your fingers and teeth. Like that has to have been one of the first things ever invented was the blade, I would think. I haven't fact checked myself on that. I'm just supposing, that would be the first most useful thing to make life easier. But once we follow that path to robots and AI do everything that needs to be done, that is the goal. The goal was, I'd rather not have to skin this animal at all. I'd rather not have to hunt this animal. I'd rather not have to raise this animal. Just all the work we have to do, we'd rather not do. And like I think if you wanted to do a thing, you could, but it would just be like a thing you did as a passion project. Like you want to be a doctor. It's not like they would stop you from being a doctor. You just wouldn't get paid for it. Except the work would be its own reward, like stuff like that. But if no one wanted to be a doctor, the robots would do it. It's like humans would basically just be able to do whatever we wanted to do. We wouldn't be limited in any way. And so the division of rich and poor would cease to exist. I think that would make the world a way better place. Way less crime, way less corruption. I mean, what's even the point of stealing something from someone? Just get your own. Just go get one. You don't like, so I don't know. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think you'd lose as much as you think you would. Like if you're thinking, well, who would make Star Wars movies? I mean, it'll be in the public domain by then anyway, but it is something like that, where there's some media franchise that you love and you think eliminating money will eliminate the franchise. You may be right to a degree. Like, because it would eliminate big corporations unless they just became powerhouses of the arts, where they just were kind of a web of connections that, and and maybe they get the rights to things by merit, by interview. It's not who pays for the rights, it's who convinces the rights holder of a property that they're the best custodians of the film rights. Like everything could still work. Like a lot of what still happens is like, well, who would produce the next generation video game systems? Well, the people who love doing that. Because that's not a have to job. That is a want to job, And again, it would become a powerhouse of the arts, a video game company, a publishing company, a film company. They'd all become powerhouses of the arts, or they would fade away. But I don't think they would fade away because those are passion and projects. Those are things people do because they are passionate. They want to do them. There's going to be people who want to be teachers. There's going to be people who want to be doctors. There's going to be people who want to be veterinarians. Like all the things that people do because they want to. There are going to be filmmakers. There are going to be people who design video games. There are going to be people who design robots, whether we need them or not, because the robots can design themselves. But there are going to there are going to be people who do it because they love it. It just means no one's going to be left out. That's all. It's like everyone can get the new generation of whatever video game system. Everyone can make a really cool film with amazing special effects. There's not going to be anything holding you back from getting an education. I think we'll be better people. Like we'll be so much more enlightened, I think, once we get rid of the monetary system. But yeah, you can't just dump it. So it's going to be a long transition, and I'm afraid it's going to be a long, painful transition with wealth inequality such as it is already. I don't know, man, but we'll get through it. We will. Hopefully. Well, I guess that's about a rant for the night. I do have to get up and go to work in the morning after all. So I'm gonna give sleeping another shot. Um, Meanwhile, if it's working, you can go to my author website, glensladeclarkjr.com, to check out my fiction. It's off and on working right now, having some issues with the host. Yeah, the host. I don't know. I'm too tired to know things. But if it's working, you can find all my stuff there. And like and subscribe if you like this kind of video or my vlogs or my other really weird stuff I do on here, like talking to people in sunglasses. Do like and subscribe if you are so kind and so inclined. Man, it's like I went to sleep 30 minutes ago. That's how I feel. I'm just pushing myself through it. But I don't want to go to sleep because I'm just that way. Like I'm this tired and I don't want to go to sleep. Ooh, but I only have to work 4 days this week. I'm taking a vacation. Anyway, I am wrapping this one up. It's been a while since I did an I Can't Sleep video. Hopefully I can do these more frequently now that I've figured this out, that I can find a space and make it a different space and do these in peace. So anyway, I'll be back with another one of these next month. So get some sleep and thanks for sitting up with me.